I'm going to reveal some food preservation methods to guarantee your household stays safe throughout an emergency. And given the current global state, failing to maintain an emergency pantry would be a huge oversight and a very unfortunate one. So everyone has been watching the news reports about supply chain instability and global hunger. So this is making readiness an absolute necessity. Keep in mind that you don't have to accumulate all of this stock in a single evening. You need to work at this gradually because just none of us realistically have the money for, to just buy $30,000 of food and water in cash in a single day. So you want to, pitch in every week or so. So I suggest a 30-day reserve as the absolute baseline for most households. And in my previous talks, I've mentioned how much water you should have, which is, about a gallon per day per person. And you can expand that inventory as your budget allows. A lot of people say they prefer 6 months or maybe a year supply. So you're the ultimate judge of what amount of ration fits your needs. Now, in regards to your nutrition strategy, to start, your refrigerator is your most immediate resource. So if a major power failure occurs, then those chilled foods should be consumed before anything else, right? So you should use that up first. And it's good to utilize several generators. So I suggest having units, a few different units of different power sources, a solar power generator, a propane generator, and a gas generator, so that you have multiple backups. Propane systems are especially good because they're extremely resilient when it comes to being stored over the long run. They don't break down the way that and evaporate the way that gas does. So you can stash it in a backyard shed without chemical degradation issues that plague gasoline. And this setup allows you to preserve and consume those perishables for the maximum duration as possible. And my primary suggestion is to exhaust your current cupboard inventory as well with your refrigerator, because this is your initial level of sustenance, and it might be enough just using that, depending on what you're dealing with. So use every item you currently possess before moving on to the next level of storage. And with regards to this one, this phase involves my top pick for emergency nutrition, which are these specialized vacuum sealed packets. And I prefer these containers because they offer incredible speed and simplicity. And they're healthier than cans, because if you get a good quality packaged preparatory food, then it won't contain BPAs and it won't contain any other things in it that cause, as I mentioned in a previous talk, problems to your nervous system and whatever else it's working on. Because personally, I can't eat a lot of canned food, otherwise I stop producing stomach acid. And by that point, I can't eat anything. I won't be able to break it down. So that's not a place you want to be either. That can happen to anyone, especially even if you're not sensitive. Over the long run, too much canned food can do that and cause other problems too, perhaps. So with these packaged foods, usually preparing them only requires just pouring them into your pan or your bowl, mixing with water to usually because they're freeze dried, to rehydrate, and then heating them up to cook them. So these are pre-assembled dinners and lunches. And high pressure disasters create really immense stress. So you should avoid it's much better to go with this route because this is a survival situation you're dealing with. You can't have so many fancy ingredients and spices. Efficiency is so crucial because you're in this emergency situation and you need quick access to the food. But what I need to warn you as well is that the emergency ration or the emergency food industry is really prevalent with deceptive marketing and low quality crap food. So there are people out there who've dedicated more hours than you would think is reasonable that they need to for vetting the perfect options for their household. And what they found is a lot of this food is really bad. So you really have to be discerning in this. And based on their professional history and personal trials, there are things that you can do to check if the food is good, if the company is right. I'll leave a link in the description, and in this website there are all these experiments that unmask these industry frauds through light checks and strength checks of this food. And that resource explains how to identify a quality packet and which ones might actually cause illness and other problems. As for my own inventory, I would maintain a 6 months reserve of these packets for myself and anyone else who's living with me. I would store these in those large industrial totes or plastic containers that you can stack and keep it in some kind of storage area. You can keep this in your garage stacked up. You can slide them in these tote drawer organizers, and you can even use personal self-storage or like paid storage. Those companies where you actually go somewhere, it's like a kind of like a warehousing parking lot type deal, and you can store things there, and that's a good place to do it, including your water. So this is your second level of preparedness. As a third layer of preparedness, the next big storage container are large canned food, and the number 10 cylinders are pretty good and effective for this. They come in all sorts of recipes, but a lot of them are just bulk carbohydrates and things like that. So you can get potatoes, potato flakes, dehydrated potato flakes, mashed potatoes, beans, rice, and grains. And much like the pouches, I like these because they're really sturdy cans and they just offer a really quick way of fixing up a meal because you just open it up and it's ready to eat. The smaller packets are better for mobility because they're smaller and lighter, much lighter. And you can keep them in backpacks, in your cars. But these heavier number 10 cans, they store more, so they're good for just stacking in your house somewhere. So you need a variety of foods, including pasta and pasta dishes and rice dishes, potatoes, vegetables, legumes, beans. Most of these cans can stay edible for about 30 years, while the pouches will usually provide about 25 years of lifespan. So these are really excellent for emergency prepping. And you can source these cans from numerous digital retailers, but you can actually get a lot of these from various churches. They operate a dedicated supply network that provides these foods at nearly the base production price. So this service is available to everyone, regardless of your religion or your spiritual background. So by searching for a nearby Latter-day Saint canning facility, you can find a local spot for direct pickup. And if a physical location is unavailable, you can search online for their particular preparedness site, and they will allow you to have supplies directly shipped to you to your door. So this is my third layer of preparing, which is accumulating a really significant number of these metal number 10 cans. So naturally, you need to own several high quality manual openers too, and food processors. There are electronic versions, but they can be useless if there's a power grid failure. So it's good to have several gas-powered burners to cook these foods. Now, my fourth and final level of emergency readiness involves using 20-liter industrial pails filled with bulk cereals and grains. So you can preserve many different types of harvest grains this way, and to store them correctly, you transfer the contents into a metallic liner and include multiple packets designed to remove oxygen. And once the liner is seated inside the container and filled, you use a hot clothing press to melt the edges shut. And this creates an airtight barrier before you secure the external lid. So it's quite simple if you utilize food-safe containers equipped with those specialized rotating screw top closures. So it's very important that you own a manual grinding machine for these stocks. Many different models exist, but you just have to ensure that yours is a manual one, so it functions without power, right? That's the most important thing. So maintaining a wide selection prevents the food fatigue, and that's why I utilize personally so many different feeding strategies. So I strongly encourage you to organize your household safety provisions immediately. We have witnessed enough global instability to know that preparing right now is mandatory, and a small amount to your supply every week or so is perfect. That will get you prepared in no time. So don't stress yourself by trying to acquire a 2-year supply in a single day unless you have the money for it, in which case you can consult some experts on this. But focus on shielding the people you love and yourself. Peace be with you.